Hello everyone, you're welcome to my channel. Today we are going to be making a high waist trouser. If you are new to this channel, I want to say a very big welcome to you. Please kindly hit the subscribe button. For those who have subscribed so far, thank you. So let's get started. I am making use of 2 yards of fabric. So fold your fabric into two. So I am going to be folding my fabric into two. I folded it by 13. So next, by the edge, please mark 1 inches. Mark 1 inches till you get to the ending of your fabric. Then draw a straight line across, just the way I am doing it. Then at the upper part, mark your line. So that will be your our starting point. So for my crotch length, I do my waist measurement divided by 4 plus 3 inches. So you can do 2.5 inches, you can do 2 inches, depending on you. So for the hip line, the difference between our crotch line and the hip line is 2.5 inches or 2 inches. So I am marking 2.5 inches above. So I rule and connect my lines. So next I am going to be marking my knee length. I'm using 21 inches for my knee length. So I'll mark the point, then rule a line across it. So after that, the next thing I'm doing is the full length of my trouser. So I'm just adjusting it because my table is small. The full length I'm working with is 45 inches. So I am putting 2 inches extra for folds at the down part. So next I'm going to be adjusting my material again because my table is small. So after that, the next thing that we are going to be doing is I am just going to mark the point. I am just marking it so that you will know that that is the knee line. Then this upper part is the starting line, which is the waist line. So the next thing we are going to be doing is to work on the crotch line. So for us to get our crotch, you will divide your lap measurement by 2. So measure around your lap, the upper part of your lap, and divide it by 2. So whatever you have, mark it there. So mine I had 11 inches because my lap measurement is 22. So I am going to be putting 0.5 inches for ease. So next, at the hip line, divide your hip measurement by 4 and mark. So I am going to be marking my point across there. So I'll mark the same thing at the upper part so that I can get a straight line from my waist down to my crotch. So I'll also mark the same thing on my crotch line as well. But I'll first of all connect the point I just marked. So I'll mark the same thing on my crotch line. Then I'll connect the 3 points together. So after connecting, so you can see that the what is remaining is 2.5 inches. So at that edge, please come up by 1 inches. So connect to that point. So connect it to form . So you can see that I have already used my free hand to connect it. So our trouser is already taking shape. So the next thing that we are going to be doing is that at the crotch line, divide what you have there by 2 inches. So divide what you have by 2 inches. So whatever I have there, I am marking the point. So I will also mark the same point on my knee length as well. Then I'll do the same thing at the full length of my trouser. Then I'll connect all the points together to form a straight line. So you can see that I am done connecting. So at this point, I am going to be dividing my knee measurements by 2. So whatever I have, I am going to be putting it equally on both sides. So the knee measurement I am working with is 9 inches. So whatever I have there, I'll divide it 4.5 on both sides. So I'll do the same for the full length of my trouser. So mark the same thing. So after marking, the next thing I am going to be doing is that I'll be connecting the line from my knee length down to my full length. Then I'll also connect it to my crotch line as well. So I'm done connecting it. I'll connect that point now to my crotch line. So after that, the next thing that I am going to be doing is that I'll work on my waist measurement. My waist measurement divided by 4. Whatever I have, I'll start from the front part. Yes, I'll place my tape on that front part. I'll mark it there. Then I am going to be marking 1 inch also for that allowance. Please, when you are doing this, all your round measurements, your hip, your waist is divided by 4. It's just your nail and your full length and your crotch line that is divided by 2. Then from that point, please connect it down to your crotch line. So I have connected my waistline to my crotch line. Then from my crotch line, I will now connect it to my knee length. So on that part, I'm going to be coming down by 1 inch. This is to reduce the foldness that used to be in the front part of our trousers. So when you do that, you won't have those many bulginess at the front. So we are done with the front part. You will notice that I didn't add allowance in this front part. All our allowance will be at the back, the second part of this trouser. So we are going to cut now, but we're not going to cut this the 1 inches that I came down with. I'll cut the normal line that I drew. So you please pin it so that it will not shift. You pin and cut. So you can see I'm done pinning it, I'm done cutting it. So I have placed the front part on another folded fabric. So this will help us to do the back part of this trouser. So after, when you place it, please make sure you place it in a way that you will have enough allowance to work with. So pin it down to the new fabric that you have folded. Then rule your lines, the vertical, the horizontal lines, please rule it across the knee line, the crotch line, and the full length as well. So on my full length, I am going to be marking 2 inches. That will be for our allowance. Then on the knee length as well, the knee length, the line that I marked out, I'm going to be marking 2 inches as well. That will be for allowance. Then on my crotch line, I'll be marking 2.5 inches. You can do 2.5 inches, you can do 3 inches, depending on you. So I'll connect the lines. But before connecting the lines, at this upper part, please go up by 1 inches, basic. Or you can do 1.5 inches. Then this line that I drew just now, that I marked, I am going to be connecting it back to my waist. The waist edge. Yes, that point that I marked. So I'll connect both lines together. So you can see that I am done connecting it. So on this line that I marked just now, I am going to be marking my waist measurement divided by 4 on that line. So I have marked it. So the next thing I'm going to be doing, I'll be adding 3 inches. After I'll mark 3 inches for ease. So that 3 inches, I will take my dart to be on it, and allowance will also be on it. So you can mark 3 inches. If you're on a bigger size, you can put 3.5 inches or 4 inches. So the next thing now is to connect your waistline to the crotch point of the front part of this trouser. So you can see that I have connected it to my waistline. So after that, the next thing is to use your free hand again to form the curve at the front part. So you can see that I have already formed the curve. So the next thing that we are going to be doing is that the points that we marked are the knee length connected to the crotch line. So once I'm done doing this, I am going to connect from my nail line to my full length. So I rule a line across it like this. So once I'm done doing this, I cannot cut that part that I said you shouldn't cut before at the front part. So you can see that on my on my hip line, please make sure you calculate your hip measurement first, so that you will be sure that you have enough allowance to actually work with. So I am just doing a basic calculation to be sure that what I have there is enough. So I'll go ahead and cut it. So after cutting, please notch the point so that when you are sewing, all the points will be meeting, so that one will not be longer than one. You know, the fabric I'm working with is crepe, so sometimes it's stretchy. As you are sewing, one side might be longer than the other. So for my dart, the front part, the length of my dart is going to be 5.5 inches, while the back will be 4.5 inches. So I marked it. So you can see that I have already marked my point where the length of my dart will stop. So once I am done with that, the next thing is to go ahead and hold my dart. So you can see that I have already held my dart both on the front part and on the back part of this trouser. So after holding the dart, please go over to your sewing machine, pick one side of the front and one side of the back, and sew with 1/2 of an inch. So if you want to put your zip at the back or at the sides, please make sure you mark the point where your zipper will stop before stitching it down. So in my case, I want my zip to be at the side. So I am just putting my zip. I will mark it to know where I am going to start stitching from. So from that part, I'll stitch 1/2 of an inch to the down to the end of this trouser. So remember that you're picking one side of the front and one side of the back. Don't forget. So you can see that I am done stitching the sides. So that opening there is where I am going to pull my zipper. So I also gave it a good press. So it's actually good when you're making your trouser, you iron it at every given time. So I am placing the two parts of the trouser on each other. So I'm going to go ahead to sew the front part of the flap. So I have stitched it, as you can see. I have stitched the front part of the trouser, just the front part. The back part of the flap is still open. So from where I stitch, I am going to be marking my waist measurement. So that will make me know where I am supposed to start stitching from for the back part. So I have marked where I am supposed to start stitching from. So I am going to be connecting the point down to the flap area. So at that flap area, please make sure that it is 1/2 inches. So if at the waistline you have excess fabric at that waistline, don't worry, just mark your actual waist measurement. And also make sure you mark your hip measurement very well, so that it will not be too tight or too loose at that part. So that is what I'm just checking that my hip is aligned with what I need. So I went ahead to stitch it down, as you can see. So the next thing is to cover the down part of the trouser, the edge. So I have placed it on, I have placed the flap, so you can see that it is on each other. Our trouser is already taking shape. So what I'm doing is that at my nail length or my knee line, I want that place to be a little bit fitted. That is why I am marking a point. If not, I will just use half inches to just sew it round all together. So that will close the entire trouser. So I am just making sure that what I need is what I will be marking. So after marking, I'll go ahead and stitch the trouser on my sewing machine. I'll stitch it round to cover the whole trouser. So this marking is just like a guide. So make sure that the two flap is meeting. Then your notches also will also meet. If you notch properly, your notches will meet. So this long strip I just folded is for the band of the trouser. So cut a long strip. I cut mine on fold by 2 inches. So I'll go over to my sewing machine. I will sew the band on my trouser. So the band length is actually my waist measurement length. So but before doing it, please make sure you iron it so that it will be easy for you to do. So what I'm going to do is that I will open my zipper like this. So you can see that I have opened my zipper. Then the band, I will place the band on top at the right side. So I'll place it on top at the right side. I will go over to my sewing machine. I will use half of an inch to sew it round till I get to the other edge of the trouser. So you can see that I'm already done stitching it. You can see. So what I'm going to, I will place the two band. I will place it on each other like this. I'll fold it together like this. Then I will go over to my sewing machine. I'll use half of an inch to seal that edge. So you can see that I'm already done sealing it. So I will now, you can see that I have already sealed it. I will now fold it so that it will cover the stitching that I made on the trouser. It will cover the rough edges. The band will now cover the rough edges when you fold it this way. So I'll place it like this. I'll make sure I place it properly so that it will cover the sewing that I made. Then I'll now top stitch on it this way. I'll go over to my top stitch. So guys, you can see that I've already top stitched on it. I also gave it a good press. So we have come to the end of this tutorial. Thank you so much for watching. So at the down part, I'll just use hemming gum, or I'll just seal it with a matching thread. So thank you so much for watching.